a clip that made the rounds yesterday. Cam Newton, 2015 NFL MVP, currently unemployed, looking for his next job. It's about a year ago that he was at that youth camp, and that kid was giving him the business.
Right.
That kid was Karnak. That kid was Kreskin. That kid had a crystal ball. Regardless, here's Cam Newton from the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, a Barstool Sports production, with his views on gender. Here's Cam.
I had a perfect example of what a man was in my life by my father. My parents has been together for 36, 37 years now, and it's a beautiful thing. I grew up in a 3-parent household, my mom, my father, and my grandmother. And I knew what a woman was, not a bad bitch.
Okay, what's the difference?
A woman.
Okay. A
bad bitch is a person who's just, girl, I'm a bad bitch. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I look the part, but I don't act the part.
Okay.
And it's a lot of women who are bad bitches, and I say in a way not to degrade a woman, but just to go off the aesthetic of what they deem is a boss chick. Now, a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater to a man's needs. Like, I'm a this, I'm a that. No, baby. But you can't cook.
Okay.
You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to allow a man to lead.
When I saw the tweet with some of the quotes and I started listening to it, I was expecting something that went completely off the rails and stayed off the rails. So initially I was like, well, this isn't great, but Cam. And then it builds, and then the last 15 seconds, it's like Archie Bunker sitting in his favorite chair telling Edith to go get him a beer. And look, let me just say this right out of the gates. We're not trying to cancel Cam Newton. This isn't cancel culture. This is somebody saying something that causes others to say, what the hell is he saying? Why is he saying it? Why does he think this way? These are views that were outdated in the early 70s, for crying out loud. And it conjures memories of his press conference during the 2017 season when Jordan Rodriguez, then of the Charlotte Observer, asked him about Devin Funchess's physicality in running routes, and he was very dismissive and said,
kind of giggled like it's funny.
Funny to hear. To hear a female talking about routes. It was so bad, the NFL issued a statement condemning what he had said. The NFL came out and said the comments were unacceptable in 2017, and that was when he had a job. That was when he was the starting quarterback at the Carolina Panthers. Chris, setting aside how wrong-headed the comments were, how outdated they were, how cartoonishly laughable they were, he ain't going to get a job if he's talking like that.
Definitely.
No one's going to give this guy a roster spot because they're already not clamoring to sign him.
100%.
There's already issues with having Cam Newton around because he walks through the door and he's Cam Newton and the other quarterbacks aren't, and you undermine your starter from the get-go. But you throw this on top of it, Cam Newton's going to have plenty of time to expand and elaborate on what he was saying yesterday because he ain't going to be playing football.
No. I think his career was hanging by a thread, even before this. You laid it out the right way. One, he's an unbelievable presence in the locker room, can almost be somewhat of a distraction to a degree because of, the lure of Cam Newton and what he was in the NFL for so long. So I think there's that aspect. We've talked about before, too. I don't think he's really your ideal backup quarterback to begin with. He's a guy that needs reps. He's not a guy that just comes off the bench and all of a sudden is on fire and throwing lasers all over the field. So just from that standpoint, you'd go, man, I don't know. Where's it going to work for Cam Newton? We know Carolina said some things, right, about, oh, they'd love to have him back. That's like the only place I really imagine him being or coming back to is Carolina. It's the only place I imagine having open arms with him. But this is going to throw, a wrench in any plan. Right. I mean, again, a little bit of a sensitive time in the NFL right now. Teams and the public, it's still, kind of recovering from the Deshaun Watson thing. We're still in the midst of that. And then you're going to, say things that are just, out of touch, a little disrespectful. I mean, not a little, a lot. Sorry, I know, a lot. And I just don't understand why to go down that road and then to explain it the way you do. Right, hey, listen, I know guys talk like guys and people, hey, everybody talks their own private ways in their private quarters. Great. But you're Cam Newton. You got to know that when you got a mic in front of you that it's going to be publicized. And when you elaborate on your idea of a woman and what women are and your description of it, and then do it in an unflattering way, just the fact that he didn't think that was going to be used or thrown out here in the public is troubling too. And I just can't even believe that he went down that road. I really can't.
I understand there's a distinction between the private and public lives of everyone, and there are certain things that you're not going to say into a hot microphone, and anything you say can and will be used against you if you utter it into a hot microphone. I'm just troubled by this image of Cam Newton sitting around the house saying these things.
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, it's almost like a bad SNL skit. Right?
Yeah.
Like they did a reboot of
so
All in
out
the
of
Family.
touch. This is funny. Like, look at this guy. He's so out of touch. He's 35. He's a man from 30 years ago, this guy. Look at him. We went back in time.
Try 300.
Yeah.
I'm not 30.
Right.
Not 30. I'd say 60, 70, 80. You can't cook. You don't know when to be quiet.
Yeah, that one is
You
just flat out
don't know how to
disrespectful.
allow a man to lead. Think about those comments in the context of the New York Times report from Super Bowl week that got the attention of 6 attorneys general. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
The disrespect that is exhibited at the league office, allegedly,
Right.
and within some of the teams, also allegedly,
Yeah.
toward women and minorities. But the focal point of the letter, the focal point of the report that sparked the letter was how women are treated, how women are viewed. The outdated mindset, ridiculously outdated. So outdated that I don't know how far back any of this was acceptable. So if it ever should have been or could have been or even would have been, I'm astounded by this. And again, we're not trying to cancel Cam Newton.
No.
He may be trying to. He's doing a good job of it if he's trying to.
Right.
I mean, this is as simple as the guy states his views recently into a microphone for the world to hear, for the world to scrutinize, and for the world to react to. That's why people speak into a microphone. They're not doing it because they like the act of speaking into a microphone. You are using your voice to have it projected to those who will hear what you say and react to what you say, either by agreeing, disagreeing. The one reaction that no one wants to provoke from any time they speak into a microphone is nothing at all, is a yawn, is boredom. So, there's an effort to share views in a way that people will find entertaining and informative. But my God, there was nothing informative, and it was only entertaining in a I can't believe what I'm hearing sort of a way. And again, when you consider the climate, you touched on it.
Yeah.
That letter from last week amplifies it.
Right.
And when you consider that really only the Panthers were thinking about it, and Chris, the Panthers are thinking about it for one reason and one reason only.
Just like,
the big man move.
Right.
Having
Exactly.
Cam Newton under contract is going to get people to show up.
Right.
They love Cam. They may feel differently after this.
Yeah.
But when he showed up last year, it was a mediocre team that no one was interested in, and it became a mediocre team that a lot of people were interested in, and they went to the games. So that's the only reason the Panthers would sign him, because it's bright, shiny object. It's Cam Newton. Come watch Cam Newton. It's like Legends Day at Bank of America Stadium. He's not the guy he was 7 years ago, but you can come see him in the flesh.
Right.
He's still a giant. He still looks like Superman. He just doesn't play as super as he used to. Come show up, bring the kids, buy plenty of overpriced popcorn and hot dogs and beer and enjoy your day out at Bank of America Stadium because, the soccer team had 70,000 people here. If we can't at least get 50,000, we got a problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's what he would be to a degree, almost like a figurehead for the organization. Like, look, hey, here's our greatest player in the history of organization. He's still here. Look, smiling the kids in the stands, doing all of that. Get that, yes. And I think there's probably real value as far as Carolina's concerned for him in the locker room. I do think that that's one place where maybe it's a little different than the rest of the league because they know him. They know what to expect of him. I think he's happy just to be there, living in the area and being in the place that he's most comfortable with. I believe in Matt Rule and the fact that he says, they loved his energy in the locker room. I think that was a real thing. So that's where, and I think he realizes he's not going to be the starter there. So he understands his place. That seemed to be the spot. If it was going to happen, it would be there. I don't know. Maybe he's so big time there, it doesn't really matter. But the thoughts and the comments, one, are just shocking that you would say them out loud. Whether you think them or not, right? To me, it's just shocking that there was no governor in the brain or the mouth. It'd be like, wait, even though these are my thoughts or whatever, I shouldn't say these publicly. And two, it's a bad look. It's archaic to a degree, some of the things he said. It lacks, the touch of evolution and things that have been brought to our attention here as men the last 30, 40 years. And of course, all of those things going into it. Hey, I'm a guy, right? I have a traditional marriage. My wife does cook and do all of that stuff, right? She cooks. She's amazing that way. She's a real, housewife and does all those things. But also, keep quiet. She's the boss of the house. She tells me what to do. She's got a great, social life and things she does, as far as, hobbies and all of those type of things. And, hey, everybody's got their own what they like out of their girlfriend, their woman, their significant other. But that crossed the line of whoa, we're going back in time here, and this doesn't even make sense.
Somebody made a great quote yesterday, and I can't recall who it is. I'd give them credit, but basically the gist of it was, it's on Cam Newton's father for raising him the way that he did to think that this is normal. But at some point, it's on Cam for not looking around and realizing it's not normal.
Right.
This isn't acceptable. These aren't views you should be advocating, that women should know how to cook and they should know when to be quiet and when to let a man lead.
Right.
That is not the world we currently live in. Men lead, women lead. Relationships come in all various forms and shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
And
men
there is
cook,
no
women
good,
cook.
There is no bad.
Right.
Men lead, women lead. Men are quiet, women are quiet. It's driven by personality, not by what you're expected to be. If you choose to be quiet, that's your prerogative. If you choose to speak, that's your prerogative. No one's expecting you to be quiet because you're female. That feeds into, and this came out in the letter that was sent by the attorneys general, and it came out in the report from the New York Times, the idea that women who are in a business setting, who are assertive, it gets frowned upon.
Yeah.
Man decides he's going to be type A, positive, tell everyone what to do. We're like, oh, yes, sir. Oh, that's a take charge guy. Woman does it. Oh, boy. Oh, okay. Hey, settle down there. Settle down there. That's not the way it should be. That's the view of the world that Cam Newton was pushing. That's not the way it is. That's not the way it should be. And that requires people to think far differently than whatever they believed it should be back in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, whatever. Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver and this vision of Americana that I don't even know where the hell it came from. Like, in what lab did they cook up the idea that this is the way that people should be? It's just weird to me now.
It was post World War II, perfect family look got created.
Just weird.
Right. It is weird. And it's a bad example in leadership from him to say that because, young men are impressionable that way. They hear Cam Newton say those type of things and they go, well, damn, I need to find a woman like that, or I need to tell my woman that. And that's where it's bad.
He's not going to have a lot of young men with whom he can be impressionable in a locker room. Not after yesterday, because he already was in a tough spot when it came to finding an NFL roster spot. If the Panthers were interested yesterday, I can't imagine them being more interested today. They're not going to be more interested than they were.
Definitely not more.
After that.
No.
Definitely not more.
Right.
And you consider what's going on in Carolina and this brouhaha with the practice facility and David Tepper. There's a lot of resentment of him. And, hey, look, if the idea is you're bringing in Cam Newton because he's going to fill the stadium, you got some stuff to deal with now if you try to give Cam Newton a contract. And it's all self-inflicted. It's all self-inflicted. The Archie Bunker stuff is all on him. And I think a lot about All in the Family and how wrong it was. And it was funny because this guy was so out of touch with the times.
Right.
And you know, as an impressionable kid in the 70s who watched that show when everyone watched that show, the message to me was, that's not how you act. This is, you come off as an idiot if these are the views you have on how the world should operate. They turned him into a guy who wasn't an authority figure. He was a walking punchline, and he wasn't aware of it. So, anyway, the whole thing. When I saw the tweet yesterday, we were passing it around on the PFT text chain, and it's like, when I saw the quotes attached to it, I thought, oh boy, here we go. And when I watched it, like, again, at first I'm thinking this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be because I was expecting it to be like really, really bad, and then it got worse. Then at the end, he really saved the worst for last, and then it just kind of ends. And you know, I feel like there's more after the clip ends, and I kind of wanted to go find it, but then I thought, you know what, I really don't think I want to hear any more of this. And it's not like anything he says after the fact was going to put it in context. He said what he said. I didn't need to listen to anything more.
No.
The words were out there. It could have gotten worse. It could have gotten better. I don't know. I just had no interest in hearing any more from Cam Newton after hearing that minute or so. Again, we'll see how open the door still is.
I say it doesn't happen. Carolina. That would be my bet. With all the things you just explained with Carolina, the fact that they're trying to figure out the quarterback situation, you got Sam Darnold there already. They're paying money to him. There's a chance here we're going to see them draft a quarterback as well. That's where I look at it. And then you add on the fact of, yes, this and other things that go along with it. I would say that Cam Newton is not on the Carolina Panthers now and ends up being nowhere in the NFL when all's said and done here after this year or during this year.
I think it's as simple as, if we're going to be mediocre too bad, we may as well be mediocre too bad with some style. And let's have a guy here that people want to come out and root for. And like you said, he'll smile. He'll give a football to a kid in the end zone if he scores a touchdown. It makes the day at the park somewhat less enjoyable. If they're going to go home with an L anyway, you may as well have fun for moments of that 4 quarters instead of having Sam Darnold, all due respect, at quarterback. So, you know, and maybe we'll see what happens in the draft. Maybe they're thinking we draft somebody, that's when the door closes on Cam.
Yeah, right.
But all the more reason to draft somebody and close the door on Cam Newton. Let's close the door on Cam Newton.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.